Welcome to episode number 5050 of the Business Not As Usual podcast. I'll speak for myself here. I did not think we were ever going to get to 50.
The big 5-0.
The big 5-0. But here we are, episode number 50. It has been a wild ride.
A whirlwind, they say.
And you hear my voice. I'm Vince. With me, as always, is Mike. Michael, what is good, my friend?
How crazy is it that almost a year ago, or maybe last January, that we decided to spark this back up and say we're going to commit to doing one episode a week, which we've done a majority. I think only twice. Only twice we haven't posted something. Took a break. Mm-hmm. And like all the stuff that we've talked about, all the people we've talked to, people that have reached out and said, I listened to you guys, you're awesome, which I think is still crazy for the two of us. So This is a huge milestone for us. 50.
Yeah, and I think this episode we talked about in the last one how you should constantly be looking back and doing those retrospectives and pivoting if you need to. I don't know that we need to pivot. I think we're okay there, but we are going to take a little bit of a retrospective and talk about our experience over the last year. And you said something just there that triggered a thought. I was actually at an event this week in Brussels, in Belgium, and which was very, very cool. I was able to do. I had a session. I was speaking there on professional bias and how to overcome bias for better decision making. But then I was able to do my Analysts After Work show. For the two, it was a joint conference between Amsterdam and Brussels, and so they did 2 days in Amsterdam, 2 days in Brussels, and I got to close both events with Analysts After Work.
Damn.
That's nice. Yeah, it was really, really cool, but that's neither here nor there. I'm in the networking area, and I'm in the networking area, and it was a very cool platform. And somebody, sparked up a chat with me, a video chat, and as we're like chatting, in the beginning, he's like, I almost feel like I know you and Michael already, and I went, what? He's like, I love your podcast. I'm a big fan of your podcast. I listen to it every week. And I just wanted to come and tell you that, and I'm absolutely blown away.
It's crazy.
It's insane, and I'm so happy for it. I'm so appreciative for it. I think this this has been the most fun I've had doing a podcast. This has been the most fun thing to do, and it's one of those things that I look forward to each and every week.
Yeah, it's the most fun, and I think in both the work that we do, we have to talk a lot. We don't get a lot of time to prep, and so I think this is like for me, this is also like exercise. And I don't want to people behind the curtain, but Vince and I are doing something that's gonna happen next week, and we kind of had a riff, like we did something we usually don't do, is actually prepare. But then, we needed some more time. And then in the spur of the moment, we're just going to do this. And it's because of being able to having these half-hour conversations every week and with people. And I've heard from our guests who are like, that was great. You didn't ask me a bunch of questions. We talked about the thing that I love to do, but you didn't just sit there and rattle off questions. We got to talk about things, and then I didn't have to prep, but I think I was prepped because of it was conversation. So that's what I enjoy the most about this.
Yeah. Now let's completely open the curtain, because I actually think
the
that's
kimono,
a great story.
as you say.
I think that it's a great story. So if you follow this podcast, in the last year, we did a session last year at the Building Business Capability Conference called "The Missing Pieces of the Digital Transformation Puzzle," where we actually recorded us talking about it as a story arc in this podcast. We actually put out the practice session. So I mean, yeah, we don't practice, but we're prepared. Well, we have been accepted to speak, and I'm putting "speak" in quotes because it's already been
I did that
recorded
today too.
Yeah, we've been we will be speaking at the PMI Expo, which is, I think at last check, there are over 40,000 attendees, project managers from around the world. And I mean, you look at some of the other names on here, and I said to Mike the other day, I sent him a note that one of my friends who's with the local PMI chapter sent me an email saying, "How in the hell did you guys get on this agenda?"
And you're like, I don't know.
Because you have Vladimir Klitschko, former boxing heavyweight champion, and
former
now
champion of the world, bro.
Former champion of the world. The names on there are huge, and then Vince and Mike. But anyways,
that's what's hilarious to me.
We're doing this.
Klitschko.
Yeah, Vince
and Mike.
So we're doing this presentation. We're bringing it there, and it's pre-recorded, and so we're going to be there live answering questions, but the actual session is pre-recorded, and we were told to shoot for about 40 minutes in our session, and so we've done it before. We did it at BBC. We were exactly 40 minutes. We did it in our practice session. We were exactly 40 minutes. We did it in our pre-practice practice, and we were 40 minutes. For whatever reason, when we did it in this recording, we were at 31 minutes.
And they lost their mind. They're like, you're
you guys,
really short.
You're really short.
I'm like, what do you mean? Like 20 minutes? No, you should at least be at 30. You're like at least 3 minutes short.
Yeah.
Like I was in a panic. I'm like, we're really short. Damn.
Yeah.
I'm like, 3 minutes.
Because according to the time, it was like we thought it was fine. So
I thought we were good.
So like, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to make up the time? Like, you're going to have to redo this, and should we book another time?
And I think we're not redoing it.
We just sort of looked at each other through our webcams and said, Mike, podcast. And that's what we did. And we continued the thought that we were bringing up, and we just talked for another 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was, at the end, it was like
40 minutes.
Yeah, we got back to 40 minutes. So it was like, great. That's perfect. So you're right. It is that constant practice, that deliberate practice. And it is like exercise, because I can only imagine Vladimir Klitschko saying, I don't know what to add for 3 minutes. I don't know. I mean, he's a very intelligent guy, so I'm obviously kidding. But if you're not prepared, like, what are you going to talk about? And so for us, it was just let's just do the podcast, man.
Well, I mean, it's like self-defense. It's like other things where people think, in an emergency, I'll just do it. No, it actually doesn't work like that. If you've never done something in practice, you're not doing it in the game. Like, I'm a game time guy. It doesn't really work like that. You have to have practiced the thing or something similar for you to be able to pull it off in a game or in a martial arts match. It doesn't work that magically you're going to do the thing that you have to do. It has to be practiced. And so the going off the fly thing is a practice thing for us.
Yeah.
In an emergency, if we've never done it, we would have been in panic.
Yeah. Oh my God. What are we going to talk about?
we would have been like sweating. It would have been over.
Yeah. And I whenever I hear that word practice, I think back to the Allen Iverson practice.
Practice.
We're going to talk about practice.
Practice?
And you know, people took that to mean that Allen Iverson hates practice. No. The man like he was an artisan on the court. He practiced.
He practiced.
But I mean, in that situation, he was like, "Don't ask me about practice." Like,
talk
to me about
Yes, he wasn't talking about the actual practicing.
The importance of practice.
Yes,
he was just questioning, why are you asking me about practice right now?
Yeah.
So anyways, but yeah, it's mental, you know, it's not muscle memory, it's mental memory.
Yes.
Which is what allowed us to do this. So I mean, it's been a ton of fun. This is probably going to be a short episode, I expect, because you know, we're gonna talk about some stuff. But and we've already gone 10 minutes to our point. But you know what I mean, Mike, for you, what is the biggest? You've talked about how it's made us better, you know, off the cuff. But for you, what is the biggest benefit of doing a podcast like this?
I think I have two.
Okay.
One's the biggest benefit, and one is the biggest change, I think, for me. So the biggest benefit is actually having, you never have a chance to have, like, when you're working, you're in the moment, and you're, you know, like, this is like a reflection for us of many times about, and really getting down to, like, what actually happened there? Why isn't that actually working? And so we do have conversations that I think most businesses or transformations don't have. We have them here every week to say, well, why isn't that working? And we dive into it for like a full half hour, just the two of us going, and we work these things out. And again, those are some of the things that we work out that I hear about that, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or, oh, how did you even come up with that? It's not like we came up with it. It was through discussion of our shared experience. So for me, it's like a lessons learned, like every week. But we really get to dive in and dig deep into like one little subject that we get to blow out. But to me, those are things that are invaluable. Those are like, I get it. And like, oh, how do we change that next week? And so to me, that's the biggest thing. You just have just the time and the space just to talk about these things that no one gets to. Everyone's so busy and blah, blah, blah. But I think digging into one little subject every week really is helpful. How about for you?
Yeah, I'm always blown away when you give I can tell in your reaction, and this is the benefit of seeing it on video, the reaction of, I never thought of it that way. And then like you can hear the giddiness, you can hear the excitement of like, oh, and then and I think that's where we then play off of each other. And I think it's a really positive tension, because as much as we agree on a bunch of stuff, we actually do have fairly spirited differences of opinion, and we discuss it. And you know, I know where your line is, and I think you know where my line is, and that's fine. But it's never personal. So that to me, I think is the thing that I enjoy the most, which is actually being able to debate and discuss a topic without fear of, is he going to be mad at me?
Well, I think that's in a work environment, everyone is like, that's my idea, or they're romantic about something, or they don't want to be seen as not knowing the answer.
Right.
And so if we have a difference of opinion, you don't care, I don't care. We care, but we're not trying to be right. All we're trying to say is, I think this is the way to go. I think that's the way to go. We're open to having conversation. We're both very passionate and think we're right, but we don't have to be right. Where I think outside of this forum, everyone needs to be right. And that's why you can't have these deep conversations.
Yeah.
I think that's the important part.
It is. And I think, you know, the one place where that sort of manifested itself, I think the most, and I know we've had this discussion both on the show and offline, is, you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg? So which goes first, business requirements or service design? And we are, I mean, I know you take it from the service design perspective. I take it from the requirements perspective. And the truth is, it's actually very cyclical. So you define the requirements, then you design the service, then you revise your requirements, and then you revise the service. So it almost doesn't matter who's right, to your point, because if you're doing it right, it's a continuous process.
It's continuous.
So it really doesn't matter who goes first. It's our own, bias. It's our own perspective, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it doesn't matter.
So and maybe sometimes you create something new out of that. Oh, maybe it's a little bit of both, and this is what happens.
Absolutely. So for me, I mean, the biggest thing has been that space to have discussions, because I don't think these are happening in most workplaces. I agree with your statement there. Most people want to be right, or they latch on to their idea because they're romantic to that idea, and they're unwilling, even if someone else has a better idea, it's not theirs. So there's that. But I think the thing that I am the most sort of excited and still surprised about after doing this for just over a year is the fact that there are people out there that actually listen to the show.
Yes,
because I think
on a regular basis.
On a regular, I met another person at the same event who is a frequenter of my other show, and she found the podcast through my video show. And she's like, I'm still 5 or 6 episodes in, but I'm a subscriber. I listen every week, but it's just, she's not commuting anymore, so she's not listening to as many podcasts. I think what's the most exciting about this is I think we would do this even if nobody listened. So the fact that people are listening and are getting benefit out of it is amazing, because it's just fun.
That's the point, though. I mean, we do it because we love to do it, and if people listen, that's awesome, and they get benefit, that's also awesome.
Yeah.
But Vince and I don't live and die on the analytics every week. Like, it's like, oh, that was cool. Mm-hmm. Oh, that many people listen. But it's not like, oh, that was down from the day before. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't work like that. And I think that's why it's not as usual. I think even when you're doing the work, you have to do it because it's the right thing to do. And if it takes, it takes. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But if you and I did this because we were just constantly looking for listeners, I think it would be arduous. Arduous, is that the word?
Yeah. 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 It's arduous. We know what you mean.
We would find it a hassle, and then if the numbers weren't where we expected them to be, then we beat all down on each other. And that's not what drives us.
No. Which I think is incredibly cool.
Drive us.
Yeah.
I think comments like, hey, that was a good episode. Awesome.
Yeah. And having the opportunity to engage with folks that are willing to come on and now are asking to come on to be interviewed.
Yeah. No, that's crazier than ever.
Right.
Because we usually go and ask
people we know, or
a friend, or people we've come across that we've had a good work interaction with. We've been on a project with them, and they're like, hey, why don't you listen to a few episodes? You want to come on? But now people are like, hey, I would like to come on and
talk
about this. And we're like, really? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. It is incredibly cool. And I think we've had moments, and I think you said earlier, we with a few exceptions, I think we have been very consistent with the one a week. I know, we're a little bit behind this time just because some stuff came up. I know that we had a period in the summer where I don't think we put anything out for about a month, and it was just we were busy.
This summer?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah, there was like a 3-week or 4-week gap.
Oh, Maybe we both went. Okay, I don't
No,
even
it was
remember that.
it was still early days in the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Like we just ran out of. I think we actually went like 6 weeks without recording, but we had a couple episodes sort of queued up, so it didn't.
Right.
It only seems like we missed 3 weeks or whatever we missed. But I
Right.
mean, that's so inconsequential in the grand scheme of it, because at the end of the day, we're at about one episode a week, give or take. And really, I don't know that you need that much more of us in your life.
That's right.
Than
You don't need
30
you don't
minutes.
need more of us in your life.
You don't need more.
You don't need
But
us 2 times a week.
30 minutes is
sure.
more than enough. But I mean, I think the important lesson there is that consistency and showing up and doing the work to make sure that we're able to put something new out every week, for the people that are listening. That consistency is key, because if we didn't have that consistency, I don't know that this show would be where it is today.
I mean, that's a lesson for life, right? Like,
absolutely,
going to the gym. It's about consistency. Doing it, not every week we want to jump on, but doing it when you don't want to helps. Like you just have to do it. And many times a few times we've jumped on. Either you didn't want to do it, I didn't want to do it. But I think at the end it was like a workout. I don't want to do the workout. Then you do it and you're like, I'm glad I did that workout.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with, I don't want to do the podcast. And then we finish, we're like, I'm glad we did that podcast.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Well, and that was the thing, right? Like I remember back in the old gym days, that was
arm day was every day.
No, dude, I was leg day every day. I love doing legs.
Chest days every day, kids.
Chest day and leg day. Big muscle groups. But and that was a long time ago. But that was, that was the adage that if you don't want to go to the gym, just go for 5 minutes. Yes. Because once you start that 5 minutes, you'll just stay and you'll do the whole workout.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, right? Like even if we didn't want to do this, that particular, and by the way, I mean like that in that moment, because I'm still having fun. But even if you were just having an off day and you just didn't feel like it,
yeah,
you know what? Let's just go for 10 minutes and see what happens. And then 10 minutes turns into 30, and now you've got a full episode. So it's that consistency is important. Showing up is important. And just having fun is super important. And I think these are lessons, regardless of, whether you're engaged in transformational work or just regular, quote, regular work. Like those are the things you need: consistency, presence. And I don't mean physical presence, because you can be present in a distributed way. But above all, like have fun with what you're doing. And if you're not having fun, find a place where you can have fun.
I think the other thing I want to talk about is is how we've changed. And I'll start. Yes,
please.
And we talked about a little bit right before we got on the podcast, but for many years I've been the digital guy, talking about digital. And I think the big change this year through the podcast is the change to, and you've said it all the time, digital is the way we do work now. Like it's not a thing. I know everybody has it in front of their title, but it's not like anybody says you're the phone guy. Like you're the phone guy. No, it's a tool that you use to do business, and digital is a tool that you have to use to do business. And I think the change for me is like, I don't need to be the digital guy. Like I'm trying to change a business, run a business, and happen to use, like an online product to deliver services, but it's not the thing. It helps with your business and your business model. And I think that's through these conversations, and then through the work, how I've changed over the course of these 50 episodes or the course of a year.
Yeah. For me, it's being able to explore topics that previously have been, seen as outside of my domain. So talking about things like HR or leadership or communication or data or whatever, like being able to explore those topics and actually contribute my thoughts, as rudimentary as they might be, but being able to contribute those thoughts has I think when I talk to people that listen to the show, they like that perspective. They like the I'm not an expert, I know some stuff, but I'm not an expert, but here are my thoughts. So they like that very much. The one thing I noticed, and this I think was a product of the fact that we have had podcasts in the past, because when we came to episode 1, it was like riding a bike. Episode 1 was tremendous. I do think we've gotten better. I think our interview style, our conversational style has gotten better, but it was still good in episode 1. And I really felt that when, because of the pandemic, I started my other show, Analysts After Work. And I look back at the first episode of that, and it was not good. And it, even though I do this, and it's the same idea, it's just people getting together and chatting about stuff, but it was different. And so it made me appreciate this. And now that show has grown to the point where, people are, when's the next episode coming out? Who's going to be on the next? And can I, same thing. Can I be on the show? I've had 2 of those in the last month. Hey, what do I have to do to get on your show? You just have to
send me bourbon.
Yeah, you just have to ask. Like, I didn't know you wanted to be on. And so, that's a way that I have changed, in that, recognizing that this was good because we've done it before. Not everything is going to be good, and that's okay. Whenever you try something new, it is going to, you're not going to be great at it right away. And so that's been a key thing for me, is becoming comfortable with not having all the answers, not knowing everything, and that's actually a good thing, because it means that you're open to more, and you can actually pivot, as we talked about in the last episode. You can actually pivot to course correct if you find that you're going maybe the way that you don't want to go. So and I found that I am now able to do that much more seemingly seamlessly, because it does require thought and reflection and work. But I think I make it look easier, at least on the surface, than I maybe did in the past. So and I know that I've changed how I approach situations. I almost said problems, and I didn't mean problems. How I approach situations, opportunities, because I'm much more. I've always been sort of strategic minded, but then in a rush to get there. And so I've been much more strategic and much more centered, which is very cool. And a lot of that started with, and we keep talking about this episode, I think it might have been the best one we ever did, the episode with Lori Silverman, way back in like last April. That was the TSN turning point, I think. Brought to you by Apple Autoglass.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been 50, my friend. I don't think there's, I don't know. You want to stop? Should we break up?
Like break? I think we can stop the episode, but I don't want to break up.
Oh, okay.
I think we should probably do at least another 50.
This is like launching.
Sure we're good.
launching nukes from a sub. We both have to turn our keys at the same time.
That's right.
Obviously, I knew that we were. we're not breaking up.
We should try another 50 and then see what happens.
I think if we got to another 50, that would be a good place. And then, you know, and we'll see. But this has been a great experience. I'm so happy to do it. It is really, truly one of those things I do look forward to every week, because it's a great way to end the week.
It is.
And that's going to be my final thought.
I agree. It's a great way to end the week. It's a great way to talk about the things that we've seen, and I hope to, you know, expand the show, make it better over the course of the next 50. But and I'm looking forward to those next episodes.
Yeah, and we have talked about this in the past. And speaking of expanding the show, you know, we still have the book that we're eventually going to work on. Some stuff has popped up, but we are going to get that done at some point. So you can look for that. And there's some other things. I think there's still a lot of learning in the transformation space.
We still have a lot of things to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Believe me.
Oh,
no shortage.
Yeah. Even today, I was messaging you like, "Hey, we should do an episode on this." I had the title picked out and everything. So okay, then let's call it, my friend. This has been the Business Not As Usual podcast with Vince and Mike, episode number 50 in the can. We will see you in the next 50.
All right. See ya.